Hi. So, today I want to talk about things that I do to help with my sensory processing disorder, both when I'm traveling and when I'm at home. I'll focus a little bit on what to do while you're traveling, but in general, these are things that you could use when you're at home as well. So, dealing with sensory processing disorder. I want to talk to you about my tips and tricks and what I do and what really helped me. So, as some of you may know, based on my other videos, I recently came back from VidCon and the YouTube headquarters and all that good stuff, and there were a lot of parties and a lot of things I attended, and it was exhausting, but it was great. So, my number one tip is, first of all, identify the things that you have difficulty with and things that are draining for you. So for me, specifically, again, as a person on the autism spectrum, I am easily overwhelmed by my senses. I experience sensory overload and I panic and I feel out of control, and I really thrive in familiar environments. So being in an unfamiliar environment and feeling out of control of everything really gives me anxiety and it doesn't make me feel great. So what did I do? You may be asking. Well, I'm glad you asked. No one in particular. What I did was I brought a couple of things. So I brought my sensory control kit. I don't know, I'll find a better word for it. Just give me a minute. The main thing that has helped me are my noise canceling headphones. I use the Bose Quiet Comfort Series 2 headphones, which are really expensive and I can't afford them. Somebody bought them for me for Christmas and I appreciate it so much. You have literally changed my quality of life so much just by sending me those. I want to hug you. But for those of you who can't afford that, because I totally understand because I also can't afford that, getting earplugs and putting any regular headphones on top of those earplugs really does help to reduce the amount of noise around you in your environment. Make sure that the headphones that you are using are closed back, so there are open-ended headphones and closed-ended headphones. Open-ended headphones are usually good for recording music or podcasting because the sound is a lot clearer and you're still able to hear things happening outside of you, but they're able to hear whatever you're listening to and stuff like that. But those are not ideal for someone who's trying to cancel out noise because, again, they are open-ended. They look the same as regular headphones, but there is a lot of noise still coming in. Let me show you. These here are my noise canceling headphones. They're closed back, of course. The noise cancellation is active noise cancelling. So what that means is that there is a tiny microphone on the outside of both my headphones, that little hole there, and it reads the sound around me and then will play back the opposite sound in order to cancel it out in my ears. Which, if you're wondering, yes, it does occasionally give me a migraine because I'm so sensitive to sound that even the sounds I'm not noticing will be too much for me. It's very strange, but it is a lifesaver in really loud environments. And these are open-ended, open-back headphones. You could see there's this almost looks like it would be a speaker on its own, and it makes it that I could hear what's happening around me. I use these when I play piano, mostly just because I had these lying around and they were really affordable, but also the sound quality is better on these. These would be ideal for podcasting, honestly, but these are not ideal for noise cancellation or for any sort of noise reducing at all. What you could also do, what's a lot more affordable, are on Amazon, I think for $15 or something like that, you could get noise reducing headphones that are not electric at all. It's what construction workers use when they're using a jackhammer or something like that. It reduces the amount of noise going to your ears, and those have been really effective for me in places where I'm not allowed to have electronic devices. So yeah, if you use those plus you use earplugs, that'll really help you in loud situations. That's my tip on an affordable way to have noise canceling headphones on a budget, because not everyone can afford this shit. This is so fucking expensive. Anyway, my next tip, for me, when I'm at home, I have a 20-pound weighted blanket, which again is not something I could afford. It was, again, something that was gifted to me because you are all wonderful and I love you all very much. Thank you. Weighted blankets are, first of all, they're heavy, so it's hard to travel with them. But just in general, even in your own home, having them it's expensive, and it's also not ideal for someone, let's say, with EDS, because it's heavy. I have trouble lifting that thing. It hurts my back to lift it, so it's not really the most maneuverable thing to have. So here are your two options. If you're talking about just when you're at home and you really do want a weighted blanket, you can make one yourself. There are plenty of videos online on how to make your own weighted blanket. With minimal sewing skills. Usually people use rice as the grain, I guess, to hold it down. In my weighted blanket, honestly, it does feel like there's rice in it. I think it might be sand, but the sand gets everywhere, so rice might be better. I don't know. But you can make your own weighted blanket if that's something you want to do, or what's a lot more affordable are compression wraps or sensory wraps. They sell those on Amazon, I think for $35 or $40, which is kind of expensive, but maybe someone could get it to you for your birthday or something, or you could split it with someone, or I don't know. It's better than $300 for a weighted blanket. that is so expensive. So the compression wraps offer a lot of the same therapeutic benefits as a weighted blanket, in that it's offering deep compression and like deep tissue therapy, I think it's called, when there's compression and it like calms you down. For me, it is ideal for traveling. Let me bring it so you can see it. So this is my compression wrap. It's from Amazon. This one is kind of made like an endless loop. So it's a looped up material, much like a scarf, like an infinity scarf. And you could just, I open it up and I put my feet on one end and I put it over my head on the other end. Oh, and then I'm just a happy, tight little autistic burrito. It's just, oh, it's the best. This relaxes me and it helps with people with more than just autism spectrum disorder. People could experience sensory overload because of PTSD or because of anxiety. It doesn't only have to be an autistic thing. It's helpful for a lot of people. So this is way easier to travel with. Still helps me sleep because without that deep compression, I have trouble sleeping. Still helps with reducing anxiety, and you don't have to carry a 20-pound blanket with you. And if having a 20-pound blanket even in your house is not the most accessible thing, like for me, because it's super heavy, this is a great alternative, so I highly recommend this. The next thing that I recommend are sunglasses, which sounds really oversimplified and like, oh, okay, wow, thanks, Aaron, I never thought of sunglasses. But I don't just mean outside. I mean in your house or at a convention, for example. Reducing the amount of light helps with the amount of stimulation that your brain is receiving. It tones everything down a bit, and for me, I really like having them, and it really does help. It helps with migraines as well, because lights often induce migraines for me, like really bright lights or flashing lights. But I also have a visual impairment, so I only see out of one eye, and the other one is there. It actually physically works, but my brain is not actually interpreting any of the information it's receiving, and is also off. Like, I see two images at all times, so my brain kind of just doesn't, since I was very young, it stopped using that eye, and because it stopped using that eye, they became misaligned, so one was completely facing the wrong way. That ligament just sort of like decided to go and do its own thing. A surgeon tightened that ligament so that it doesn't move out of place, so it looks like it's in the right place, but it's still not, and my brain still doesn't use that eye. So because of that, I have no depth perception, I'm extremely uncoordinated, and I walk into walls. And as you could imagine, adding sunglasses over that means that I am just hazardous to everyone around me. I will walk over you and your children and your little dog too. Sunglasses are helpful, yes, but for someone like myself, if you have difficulty seeing and you have no depth perception and you are uncoordinated with your environment, the sunglasses could be potentially hazardous, so I would maybe suggest only doing that when you're with someone who could warn you of oncoming traffic if you're crossing the street, or like pedestrians, or like small children who are out of your line of sight. It might be helpful to do that when there's another person around and you're not just super alone, so you don't end up hurting yourself or other people. Lastly, something that's really helped me is stimming and not being ashamed of my stimming. So stims are self-stimulating actions. You could stim with your own body, or you could stim with an object. So things like fidget spinners that everyone's like, oh, LOL millennials, haha, fidget spinners. Those are actually stim toys, and it helps some people with ADHD, it helps some people with autism, it helps some people with a sensory processing disorder. It just helps to have a self-stimulating thing happening. You could focus on that, and it'll stop you from, let's say, like skin picking. I pick at my skin a lot, which is bad. Having EDS and picking at your skin, not a good combination. So it'll stop me from just picking up my own body, and it'll also keep me occupied when it's hard for me to sit still. It'll give me something physical to do. It'll give me something to focus on. A sensation that's cool and smooth usually is my favorite. Like, I like when things are cold. It helps to calm me down and gives me something to focus on. It also helps me feel in control of some of the stimulation that my body is receiving, so that's really helpful. Another stim that I have is I usually keep hair elastics, like elastic bands, around my wrist. I usually play with those. I'll stretch them and stuff like that, and it's good like therapy for the hands, because like you're stretching your muscles, and it helps me with I get a lot of pain in my arm whenever I move. These ligaments here that wiggle when you move your fingers, those cause me a lot of pain. So it helps me work on the muscles that strengthen that part of my arm. And a stim that I finally started to come to terms with is rocking myself. I rock myself mostly when I'm lying down, or when I'm falling asleep, or even in my sleep. I will just sort of like quickly rock myself back and forth, kind of like a bouncing motion. I usually bounce my legs while I'm sitting, but like I've realized like it's okay to rock it. Like, I don't even notice that I do it. My body just does it automatically. It's like, it's really like this quick sort of like, you know, playing with the weight in my body. It helps with my back pain because I have EDS. It shifts the pressure from one part of my back to the other part of my back really quickly, so it'll help to relieve some of the pain. It'll help me calm down. It'll help me burn off extra energy that I have. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with stimming. Just be proud of your stims. It's fine. It should totally be normalized. This is why I think we need more autistic representation. So yeah, those are a few of my sensory life hacks that I use when I'm traveling and when I'm at home, or even if I'm just going out somewhere locally. those are all things that seriously really help me with getting out and getting things done. So hopefully that was useful to someone. Let me know what you think. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave a comment. And that's it. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you're taking care, and thank you so much for watching. All right, bye.